Greetings. This is the third video in a row I'm doing where I'm giving actual leadership tips on a specific topic. And today's topic is how to be a consistent leader. One of the things that employees really hate to deal with is somebody they work for who seems to have a different mood every single day. Sometimes they come in and they're really happy. Another day they come in, they're really mad. Another day they come in and they just don't want to talk to anybody. They're not happy or mad. They're just kind of aloof, acting like nobody exists. And you just can't really work for someone like that because you're scared. You're not really sure what you're doing. And if you're that type of leader, stop it. I'm just going to tell you now. Now, I'm going to say this. If you are pretty consistent all the time, but something happens one day and you come in and you're kind of in a bad mood, nobody's going to fault you for that because every day doesn't go perfect. I mean, my goodness, I will tell you the truth. I've run into snowbanks and spinouts and whatever because I live in central New York and I've worked in places where I've had to drive through some really bad weather. But I would show up, maybe off a little bit, but then I got over it pretty quickly. You know, it's just now I'm inside, I can relax for a while, and I can get back to being my norm. And nobody faults you for that. But if every single day you're not the same person, then that's a bad thing. So I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to be a more consistent leader. And the last one is going to be a little different than the other 3 because I roll like that. So here's the first one. The first tip is to concentrate on the job. There's nothing else that matters. Sure, you need to kind of be there to help your employees if they have certain issues that maybe you can let them talk it out. But the reason everyone is there is for the job. You're there for the work. And so you concentrate on that. And what that allows you to do is basically you get to talk to people, and if someone is messing up or if someone's doing good, you can let them know in a friendly way or, your consistent way without it looking like all of a sudden one day you're just going to pile it on everybody or pile on one particular person because you think that they've totally messed up. It allows you to concentrate on the job. It allows you to make sure that you're setting fair things for everybody so that you don't have one person doing too much work as opposed to someone else. It's really the best way to do it. You always think about the job first. Now, of course, life gets in the way, but that's part of the job. If you have an employee who's having a bad day because something's going on in their personal life, you know what? That's part of the job as a leader. It's not their job. That's your job if you're the leader. So concentrate on the job. It's always the smart way to go. The second thing to do is to treat everyone fairly. Some people think you should treat everyone equally, and no, that doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? Because you can't treat someone who has 5 kids the same way you can treat someone who has no kids. You can't treat minorities the exact same way you treat the non-minorities. Because schooling is different, upbringing is different, education is different. You can treat everyone fairly. Everyone gets a fair chance as long as you train everyone the same way. Matter of fact, it's during the training process where you need to figure out if someone is going to be able to do the job or not. But once they have the job, now you just make sure everyone is treated fairly. But if you set the training standard so that everyone is treated fairly, then you're good to go. And by the way, this is not just people who report to you. By treating everyone fairly, it means if you've got people who you report to, and you have people who work in other departments. You treat everyone fairly because everyone is needed in the job. For instance, some people think, well, all this person does is they keep the floors clean. Well, think about that. Those people have an important job to do. You don't keep the floors clean, you could fall. If you're in a hospital, you could have, things all over the floor that are dangerous, and you need those people. You need the people who clean the toilets. You need the people who fix the food at lunchtime. You need all of those people, and you need to treat everybody fairly. You need to be friendly to everybody, and trust me, it helps in the long run. Number 3, this is a tough one for a lot of people. Don't do or say stupid stuff. Now, we're in a political season right now, but this goes beyond politics. There are certain things that you as the leader should not talk about. And then if someone else brings it up, you stay out of it. Politics, religion, sex, all those kinds of things. You shouldn't talk about it unless something happens and you have to address it. So if you see sexual harassment, you need to address that. If you're a leader, male or female, you need to address that. If you see racism, you need to address that. But you shouldn't say any stupid stuff. If someone comes in, they're talking about something that they saw on the news and it was pretty bad and whatever, you need to see what you can do to stay out of it. Because you know what's going to happen in a lot of instances is someone is going to see something differently than the way you see it. And now you've walked into it. Because, you know, sometimes people just can't let certain things like that go. When you're at work, you need to concentrate on work. Remember, number one, concentrate on the job. Keep yourself out of that. At a certain point, if you've been a leader over a certain number of people for a long time, you get a little more familiar with it and you relax a little bit. But you always need to remember that you are not on the exact same plane. Yes, everyone needs to be treated fairly. You're no better than anyone else, but you're the person in charge. And if you concentrate on the job, then you're going to stay out of trouble by saying something stupid or doing something stupid. That's just a rule you need to do. Keep that for later on when you're at home or when you're at the bowling alley. Yeah, I used to do it at the bowling alley. And here's number 4. And this is where it gets slightly different. Be you every day. The exact same type of person every single day, unless you're a jerk. And, you know, you have to be realistic. We have all worked for jerks. I worked for one once. Actually, probably a couple of times, but not over a long period of time. And the thing is that you don't want to work for jerks. You hate jerks. No one wants to work for a jerk. Now, there are some people who will say, oh, but they're very good at the job they do. Who cares? No one wants to work for a jerk. And if you're the jerk, they're never going to give you what you need from them on a consistent basis. You always need to make sure that you treat everyone fairly, that you're at least nice. You don't have to be overly nice, but you need to be courteous. Try remembering people's names. That's a big deal. Trust me on that one. You just need to do that. And if you're not afraid to take this challenge, there are lists you can find online where you can allow your employees to evaluate you if you're not scared. I did that once, a long time ago. We were doing some leadership training out of town, and they gave this sheet to us and said, do you have the nerve to let some of your employees do this? So I went back and I went to one of my supervisors and I said, okay, make 10 copies of this if you don't mind. Give it out to random people. Tell them to give it back to you randomly, you know, just put them upside down or whatever and mix them all together somewhere. And then when those 10 people are done, bring them to me and let me see what happens. You can look at them if you want to. I don't care. And so she did that. And when they came back, 9 out of 10 were all 5s. One of them had a lot of 3s and 2s mixed in with a couple of 5s. But you know what? My thought was, you can't please everybody because your style is not going to work for everybody. But if you can get the majority of the people who work for you to at least support you in some way, you have an opportunity to be an effective leader. And if you can be a consistent leader, you will always be an effective leader. Anyway, that's me. Those are my 4 tips on how to be a consistent leader. Let me know your thoughts. If you have things that you do that are different than these, let me know that too. My name is Mitch Mitchell. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe. I do something like this at least once a week. Y'all take care.